is happening in the United Kingdom. Only the other day, the UK was celebrating. But now, the Delta variant, also known as B.1.617.2, first detected in India, is driving another rise in COVID cases in parts of the UK as the country opens up. Take a look at what could be a potential third wave now in England.
England is enjoying the reopening of public spaces after almost a year of lockdown and COVID restrictions. But there is a niggling worry too. Infections due to the new mutant B.1.617.2 or the Delta variant found in India first are on the rise.
I'm in the beautiful city of Burton upon Water in Cotswold, one of the most popular holiday destinations here in England. And as you can see, people are making the most of the sunshine and holidaying as they are coming out of the lockdown, 4-month lockdown. Caution is in the air and the hopes are that the new variant will not lead to yet another wave and a lockdown.
Experts say 60% of the cases found in the UK are of this new variant. There has been a 20% rise in cases because of Delta variant in the past week. But the surge is quite local and is in areas like Hounslow in London, which have a high Indian population.
It is true that the B.1.617 variant, which is also called a variant from India, has increased in the UK. There have been certain hotspots where these numbers have risen, and the government has responded twofold in two ways. One is by increasing the number of tests done, which is also called surge testing in those areas. And the other response has been to increase vaccination, and especially in the younger group.
The new surge is affecting the youth more. The government has scaled up testing and vaccinations in the area. One-day walk-in centres like these have been opened, especially for those in the younger age groups.
As a student, I can't isolate myself and live in one place. I have to go, I have to do my chores, I have to do everything, which means that I'm exposing myself every single day to a variant that's attacking people in my age group and spreading faster.
This is a surgery in Hounslow, which also doubles up as a vaccination centre. This is the area where the cases are on the rise because of the new variant. Though phased lockdown is relevant here as well, but the government has advised that only essential travel to and from the area should be carried out. In addition to this, there is surge in testing and vaccination in this area.
Though there is caution, but with mass vaccination drive on, people are venturing out.
We are not scared right now. It's because we have already had our first vaccination. So we are 33% secure now.
I am in the holiday town of Cotswold, and you can see how people have come about in open, enjoying the sunshine. More than 90% of the elderly have received 2 doses of the vaccine, which is quite important to control this new variant. Now, pop-up centres are being opened to vaccinate and give this shot in the arm to the younger population. The focus being that the COVID exit date of 21st June is met by England. Lavina Tandon for India Today from Cotswold.
Let's go straight across to one of UK's top scientists. Dr. Ravindra Gupta is immunologist and professor of clinical microbiology in the University of Cambridge, and he is the one who's trying to build a link, Professor, between B.1.617.2 and the AstraZeneca vaccine, whether the vaccine is escaping, the virus is escaping the vaccine. Now, we've seen a sudden rise in COVID cases in some parts of the United Kingdom, and many of them are being linked to the Delta or B.1.617.2 variant that has led to a majority of the infections in India. Are you seeing a similar connection today in the United Kingdom between rising cases and the B.1.617.2 variant, Professor Gupta?
Yes, what we're seeing in the UK is B.1.617.2, which was first isolated in India, is now here in the UK following multiple introductions from travel between the two countries. These introductions set up large clusters in different parts of the country. We're now seeing that there's more generalized transmission happening. in younger people to some extent who are not vaccinated. And now 3/4 of the new cases in the UK are with this new variant. We now have recorded 6,000 confirmed, genomically confirmed infections with this variant.
You're making a very important point. You're saying because a number of young people in the UK are still not fully vaccinated, therefore they are vulnerable. But the other thing we are hearing, and this is something we are told that you are actually now experimenting on, is this Delta variant actually resistant to the existing vaccine. That is a fear that people are expressing, something you're working on. How legitimate is that fear that this particular virus could be escaping existing vaccines, including AstraZeneca or Covishield?
Yes, I mean, there is no doubt that people who have been vaccinated are also being reinfected, either because they only had one dose of vaccine and their antibody levels are low, or they've had 2 doses and their levels are not high enough. Of course, the virus is able to escape to some extent from some of the antibodies we're making. But of course, we're protected by many mechanisms after the vaccination. So of course, the rate of death and severe disease is very low because of the fact that our elderly population, vulnerable population, is very highly protected now. But yes, we are worried about the potential immune escape potential of this virus, and the fact that it can infect either unvaccinated or vulnerable people who do not mount a good immune response to vaccine.
You know, Professor Gupta, there is one line that you've just said that's going to worry a lot of people in India who've taken the AstraZeneca or in Indian context Covishield vaccine, that the virus can escape antibodies. Is that what we should be worrying about at the moment, like maybe in the United Kingdom you are, the possibility that this virus is escaping Covishield? Is that a reality we have to confront, or am I being, again, alarmist?
Well, it's not a full escape. It's a partial kind of phenomenon. So it can be overcome by high levels of antibodies, which you get after a vaccination. The concern is that some people who don't make good antibody responses may be more vulnerable. But again, I would reiterate that we've seen very little in the way of severe disease in vaccinated individuals. So most of the cases are very mild in people who've been vaccinated. So that's really important, good news. That means that you can go and get your vaccination, and even if you are infected, you will stay well. And so that shouldn't be anything to worry about. But of course, transmission of a virus like this, it leads to the possibility of accumulating more mutations, making newly mutated viruses with different mutations. That is more worrisome in the future. So we want to keep the transmission down.
You know, you've made a very important point. The good news is that you're saying if you are double vaccinated in particular, the chances of you being hospitalized are limited, and that's the UK experience as well. Which brings me to a question. The UK plans to lift the lockdown in the 3rd week of June. We've already seen many restrictions removed. Has the decision been premature without waiting to see the full extent of the present surge and ensuring more mass vaccinations? Is that what you and other scientists are warning the Boris Johnson government, and maybe a lesson for us here in India, that when you lift the lockdown, you still have to be very cautious?
Yes, I mean, if you want to do this properly, we will need to be slower and wait for vaccine coverage to increase and it be extended to young people. So it is too early because, we're going to see a large surge in infections and new cases, there's no doubt, because the virus is already spreading, and we're now going to give more opportunity for spread. So we are going to see this happening here, and it is a lesson for other countries, I think, especially in India, where the vaccination coverage is still very low. So people are vulnerable for severe disease as well as mild disease now. So yes, we should slow down the lockdown, I think, for at least another few months.
Final question then. Am I to understand from you, Professor Gupta, UK or India, until you vaccinated a certain substantial portion of the 18 to 44 age group, which was not seen as a high-risk group last year, you cannot really have a full lift, you cannot lift a lockdown fully. Am I correct, Professor?
Well, I think that's right, because unless you want to accept the fact that there will be infections in the country, and you're prepared to accept that sort of risk associated. So it's a political sort of decision at the end of the day, and a sort of economic one.
Okay. Important views there by Professor Gupta. Remember, you're someone who I know the Boris Johnson government is tracking closely. You've told us, given us insights into exactly what's the way forward. Thank you very much for joining me there from Cambridge University.